Hello and welcome everybody back to the Man and Machine here, episode 211 with Ben and Dillon, co-founders of PeakBot and co-hosts for your show. Ben, we need a little music.
I got it going. We got some lo-fi jams about to hit the
Awesome.
audio waves here.
Excellent. And by the way, Ben, maybe I'll stall for a second because it's not necessarily working. We're trying to get our X show up and running, and it's always difficult. Also, Ben, live on air. Well, there's only 3 people here. I'm getting a phone call. Can you guess who it's from? Since I'm asking you.
A phone call right now?
Yeah.
Is it from Thomas?
No.
I don't know.
Austin B.
Oh, okay.
I still looking for a name there. One of our friends
I've got it. He called me yesterday.
That's why he's calling me. He hasn't put it in the group.
Yeah, that's why. So for context, one of our really good friends, congratulations to him and his wife, had a baby on Friday. They have not released the name publicly.
We're going to go live on air. I swear to God, I'm calling him.
No, don't do that to him.
I can tell him.
No. All good. So
all right,
anyway. let's get into it. We've got stocks in real life. We're going to cover that first today. We are going to get into the bot shop, where we're going to hop into the vertical wheel, and then we are going to look at economic events. And I'm sure we'll have some commentary around the U.S. and Israel's activities over the weekend and how that might be impacting the markets. As we can see already, futures are down about 1%, so about 70 points over the weekend, and oil's up. So if you invested in oil last week, good on you. I did see this morning, there's call it an infamous Polymarket account, can't remember the username, that bets big on these world events, and I think they lost something like $6 million on the U.S. not striking Iran over the weekend. So they bet against the U.S. striking Iran. They lost that. That apparently wiped out their Polymarket account. Their streak has come to an end. Polymarket's interesting, man. Really interesting, especially like the stuff that you could kind of control. Like when the Super Bowl happened, did you see that bet that there would be a streaker at the Super? You could be that streaker.
I think he wasn't that the story?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'd hope that to be true. Who knows? I mean, yeah, but what is it called? What's the type of trading? Event-based contracts.
Yeah.
Wild. What's the other big one? Starts with a K.
Kalshi.
Yeah, Kalshi. So those two are nuts. Let me know if you have any success with getting the X show up, but and we can send it up.
Oh, the X show is up. It's up.
Okay, it is. It's good. All right, cool.
Yeah, we're good. We're live on X. If you're on X, please retweet us. Get more eyeballs in here. Thank you. We appreciate it.
That'd be great. Okay, awesome. So, Ben, why don't we get a lot to cover today? Why don't we get into it? We can start with stocks in real life as people are still joining, and go from there.
Awesome. Well, we have tax season upon us, so what better company to talk about other than Intuit? Intuit bought TurboTax, I don't know how many years ago, but Intuit is also the company behind QuickBooks. There's a lot of call it tax accounting software within Intuit. Do you use TurboTax for your tax, or do you go to an accountant, or how do you do your taxes, Dillon?
Well, I did TurboTax for years. And until things got more complicated, like PeakBot, last year. Now I have an accountant who I'm sure is using something owned by Intuit. But yeah, no, I use an accountant now, just because, you get the kid and the business and all the different things. So yeah, TurboTax is pretty great. I probably still could do it. I just don't have it in me. Not this year.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I'm a TurboTax guy myself.
Well, and you're an accountant. By the way, let me ask you the vernacular here. Are you a former accountant, or are you an accountant?
I think I'm still an accountant.
I'm
a former CPA. Like, I let my license expire, but if I wanted to reactivate it, I just have to take like 120 hours of classes.
the former CPA, what do you do? What are you going to do this year for your taxes?
I do my taxes, and it is complicated, and I hate it.
Yeah. Do you use TurboTax?
Oh yeah, I use TurboTax.
Because if you're going to do it yourself, you think they're giving you the best shot?
Yeah, I mean, I think any of these softwares are giving us a similar shot. I use TurboTax because way back when I started doing my taxes, when I got my job at PwC, they would reimburse for TurboTax.
Nice.
So my account had been established there, and I wasn't moving it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a TurboTax user, and they make it pretty easy, in my opinion. I mean, things can get complex between businesses, K1s, real estate, all that nonsense. But for the most part, I wouldn't be able to do it myself, like just the raw forms.
Yeah, I agree. And I was also just looking at Intuit's chart. Obviously, we're going to take a look at and see how things have been going. It's been kind of a downtrend until just the last few days here. It's starting to tick back up again, but we bottomed out here, and I'll share it up on screen here. Give me 1 second. And the other thing I was going to say about TurboTax while I'm pulling this up, the support was always good. You could pay to like do it yourself, and then the chat support's always there, or you can get like an assistant, like a professional assistant, blah, 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 blah. I always paid for that. It was just a little bit more, and it was helpful. I always felt like it was helpful. It's sad that a trained accountant can't do their taxes. Well, dude, Doug, do we have to pull you off the show, dude? Oh, okay.
No, he's blaming the tax system. Yeah, I mean, Doug, it was always ironic because when I was working at PwC as a CPA, I was in audit, so I did nothing with taxes, yet my friends and family would always come to me for tax advice. And I would just have no idea, because it's something you have to study to pass the CPA exam. But if you're not practicing it every day, you lose it. And even if you do practice it every day, you're right, the tax code is something like 70,000 pages long. So
yeah, that's wild.
That's why we've got AI now. AI. I'm serious though. Like, I use Claude for tax like advice.
Right.
And it's really freaking good.
And you would know better than most how good it is. I'm going to pull up my correct screen again in just a second here. But nice mug. I got to do the dishes. Yeah, mine's dirty. Actually, you know what? Mine's probably in the dishwasher. Motion. All right.
Got motion.
So you know who doesn't have motion? Intuit. Now you can argue the last few days is a little bit in bounds. Let's go all time. Actually, you know what? Let's not look. I'm going to zoom in. Guesses on when it went public. I'm going to pull it up over here on my screen.
Oh, geez. When it went public? 2012.
When did Intuit public? March 12th, 1993. They've been around, man. Had a couple stock splits. Initial price $20 a share. Yeah, wow. Okay, so been around longer than I thought. Certainly longer than you thought, too.
That was pre-TurboTax, QuickBooks acquisitions.
Totally. All right, so here's the chart. Look, I have all time here. We're going back to 93. And it's had some splits, as we said. So let's just look at the last year. So a year ago, the stock was trading at, oh my Lord, an expensive stock, $600 a share, kind of stayed in that range. Sorry?
We've come down quite a bit.
We sure have. It reached probably all-time highs here at $800. Yeah, I think that's all-time highs. So now it dipped as low as what looks to be $350 back here in just a couple days ago. And maybe just a little bit of resurgence here, but Geez, Ben, what do you think? What do you think this is about? I can look at earnings and stuff, which
I
all look
think
good here.
I think for one, we will get to this question because I'm interested to talk about this as well. How should we be ready for markets when they open? But I do think that Doug nailed it, saying, just what we said about AI doing taxes is likely the reason for the drop. And I will say, like, QuickBooks has an AI component built into it. I have not used TurboTax since last year, of course, so I don't know if they've built in an AI component to it. I would hope so.
Hope so.
But yeah, I mean, that's more likely than not the reason for the drop that we're seeing. Because you could go on, I forget what government website it is, but you could go on there and they'll give you the forms and you just have to fill it out yourself and it's all free. You don't have to pay the TurboTax fee.
Yeah.
So I'm sure with the increase of AI usage, people are doing that instead.
Yeah, and I think these are just forecasts, but when you see such a strong buy here still, and these are just numbers and forecasts, but I
do think that Intuit might be a pretty solid long-term bet, in my opinion. Right? They're already a technology company, and
they'll get ahead of this. You know what I mean?
Right? They're too big to be considered quote nimble right now, right? To make quick adaptations. But I do think like they're best positioned in this industry, unless we have a new competitor come in and overtake. But I think they're best positioned in this industry to implement the use of AI in tax forms and bookkeeping.
Couldn't agree more. When you have a behemoth like them who's been around for so long, and a lot of value behind them and their stock, I would agree.
So what's the plan into it? Are we gonna put together a trade idea here, or are we? For me, it would be a long-term play on Intuit.
I would agree.
Buy and hold.
I just want to point this out really quick because obviously this makes sense, right? Look at their cycle of earnings, right? Now coming up on tax season, the big jump. We better see some good numbers, once every year, here coming up in May. So that makes sense. But yeah, Ben, I would agree that this is maybe a good longer term play. Maybe how would you see it? Would you buy an option?
I might buy a leap. on Intuit, and we can take a look at what that's going for right now.
I'll pull up your chart when you're ready.
Yeah, I want to switch my screen on over. I've got the chain pulled up on Tradier. Let's just look at the 320-day expiration here. So currently, what was the price we are currently trading at pre-market right now?
So pre-market's actually down almost $8. It looks like it's at 401 and change.
Okay, so if we were to see, I would want to buy something pretty far into the money, maybe at like the 80 delta, so I don't get hit with too much theta decay. But now I'm also betting that Intuit's going to have a recovery within the next year.
Yeah,
which they're down, what was that, 30% at least over the last year. So it's an interesting play. You know what? Honestly, for Intuit, I might just straight up buy the shares. If I were to be trading this, I would probably straight up buy the shares, hold them. I do think long term, they're the right company, but I don't know if they're going to solve this in the next year or so to where their share value is going to spike up in a meaningful way.
What about buy shares, sell calls against it?
Yeah, you can do that. That's not a terrible idea. If we were going to do that, I would say go for like the 30 DTEs. So if we were to buy and then sell, call it the 35 delta, call it right here. So we could earn a solid, looks like, call it $15 per contract every month on these shares. If we were to own 100 shares, sell a covered call on it, We're of course capping our upside, but if we don't think that that upside is going to skyrocket, which in my opinion, I don't see that happening, but who knows? It could be a nice way to generate some income over the next year or so.
And that's pretty capital intensive. The other route that people would obviously be thinking is, hey, what can I buy here on the option side and just put a couple $100 out and see where it goes. You'd have to get pretty long dated on it maybe, but yeah, this is an interesting play here. I think what's going to happen is over the next few years, if this trend does continue, or maybe people right now with AI, if this is kind of like the thread in the theme here, is maybe people think they can do it themselves now because they have help of AI. I think there's going to be a lot of poorly reported taxes over the next few years, and I bet that's Intuit's next play. Like, hey, quit screwing this up. Your AI is not really helping you, is it? Let us take care of it.
And if and I don't really know how realistic it is, if Donald Trump's movement to remove income tax actually takes effect, that could really impact a company like this.
Yeah.
Now there will still be taxes to report, because I think it's just federal income tax that he's proposing. I might be wrong on that, but that would certainly affect a company like Intuit.
How much money do you think Intuit makes on their tax software versus their accounting software?
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. No idea.
How much does Intuit make on their tax software versus their? It's not typing. I'll figure it out. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, maybe some trade ideas there. Not financial advice, of course.
Let's keep moving here. I do want to talk about how should we be ready for markets when they open? Do we see them going down so we can purchase or hold whatever we have? So let's head back over to our trading view charts here. I've got the ES futures pulled up right now. Currently, we are down 73 points from Friday's close. So we will open likely around a 1% gap down. Just real quick, what that means for PeakBot bots, that means that there's too much of a drop in VIX for the 1DTEs to trade. There was also too much of a drop on Friday for the 1DTEs to trade. So there was no position from Friday going into today, which we are all very happy about. As we see, there's a large variance from when we closed on Friday. So how do you approach a day like today? Well, I'm going to tell you how I would approach a day like today. I'm gonna sit on the sideline because whenever there's a lot of uncertainty, and you can always use the VIX as a measure for uncertainty, right? When VIX increases, the more uncertain the market is. So when there's a lot of uncertainty, I don't particularly like to trade. I like to be more certain, although things are never certain in this profession here. I like to be more certain about my investment strategy. Now, I will say, I did buy calls on VIX several weeks ago.
Let's look at VIX.
We can look at VIX. So we know market's going to gap down. VIX has already gapped up, and we gapped up as high as a little over $25. So those calls are probably looking pretty good right now.
What do you own them at? Or what's your strike?
I don't even know. Let me pull that up on a different screen.
Take your time.
I think I have like the $18 strike, and I bought a $30 strike real cheap. But if you didn't get in on VIX, and that's just something that I'll do every now and then when I notice VIX is really low, I'll buy some calls there. I have the $15 strike and the $30 strike.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Currently, I'm up 12% on both of those positions combined.
Okay.
So
what are you gonna do about that, huh?
I'm gonna hold.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold. I think that yeah, because when you zoom out on VIX, I'm gonna go to the daily bars here.
12 and 30.
Every 6 months or so, you get a spike above $30. So like the last time that happened was, well, there was last April, and then October and November, we got pretty close to 30. We're spiking up today. And then for Doug's comment, for new people, for people new to trading VIX, don't forget that the spot price isn't settlement price. True. So you see spikes like this periodically. I think we'll probably get a little bit of a spike up due to these events happening. What else? All right, so let's go back to futures. Let's take a look at how we've been trending regardless of what's been happening. So overall, of course, the trend is up and to the right, and it has been for some time now. More recently, we're kind of seeing a drop. We've got this, looks like a support level. Call it at 67.50. We'll give it down to here, right? If we break below that, in my head, that's going to signal at least a short-term pullback. You know, we are in a pretty wide range between 67.50 and 7,050. Now remember, this is futures. This is not SPX. This is ES. So the pricing is going to be a little bit different. Again, I'm just going to go back to, I'm going to wait and see what happens. I'm not going to take any risky bets. If anything, I might buy a couple of small calls, but nothing that I'm going to like go all in on. Could you go all in on something and make a ton of money? Sure. But I would think that's more so gambling than making an educated decision.
Yeah, I'll say. Yeah, here's the truth. Nobody knows what's going on. Everybody's been talking about, you know, the potential World War III and everything else going on for years now. And this might, you know, recent events may fuel more of this type of action, which means the stock market's going to be totally in limbo, in my opinion. And I'll tell you what, I'm really happy to have a clean account today. You know, no open trades. I got my wheel doing its thing, but King AI, Turbo, Shorbo, everything's clean. And man, my account's feeling really good these last few months. I don't know about you, Ben, but at least with our own automated strategies for sure. Right. All right, so let's get into the bot shop. Vertical wheel, old reliable.
Yeah. So Dillon, you want to give a little bit of the backstory to the wheel? I mean, that's where we started and how we kind of evolved to this, because today we're going to cover the foundation. So to cover that foundation, it would be good to have a little backstory.
Sure. Yeah. So let me give the high flyover, Ben. You know, handing me the mic like that's dangerous, and you know it, so you'll cut me off. But review of the wheel. It's had multiple forms, which most of our successful bots that stick around do have multiple forms. This was actually our first ever option selling strategy. When PeakBot launched, we were doing equity strategies, just buying and selling stock. When we got into options after being advised so by a former professional options trader, floor trader, the wheel was the first idea that came up, right? Hey, let's trade stocks, options on stocks that we're comfortable owning and that we feel bullish about in the long term. And so what we started with was the traditional wheel with cash secured puts and covered calls. And we've since made many adaptations to the strategy to define our risk, okay, and cap our risk, while also getting a little more aggressive on the premium and making sure that if we are assigned, that we are doing our best to be sure that when those shares are sold, that they're sold at the price in which we got assigned for. So that's the high level, Ben, without me ruining like all of the fun details. But I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely helpful to have that context. So now in the case of the vertical wheel, let's dive in. We're going to dive in over the next several weeks, 6 weeks to be exact, the specifics behind this bot. And if you do have a PeakBot account, you'll notice that the vertical wheel is now live in your account. You can see it with this icon here at the bottom right. You'll see that in your account now. And you'll also notice that we have another bot in there called the old wheel. And the old wheel is exactly that. It's how the wheel used to function. We left it there by popular demand. There are quite a few people using that strategy still, and we're giving them the option to either stay on that or head over to the new vertical wheel as we've recently released it. So we're going to cover the foundation today, what it means to sell a put credit spread, what is premium collection, max profit, max loss, why we use spreads instead of naked puts, and that's the traditional wheel, right? Naked puts are the traditional wheel. And then setting expectations. What could we expect from this week to week, this bot in particular? So let's start here. What is a put credit spread? It is a risk-defined option strategy where you sell a strike and then you buy a lower strike at the same expiration, and that will net you out to a credit. So you get paid to place this trade. And if the price of the underlying stays above that strike price that you sold, then you obtain a full profit. So let's take a look at an example here. Let's say we sold the 580 strike price, and we were paid $3.50 to do so. And that's, let's call it the 35 delta. And then we bought the put at the 10 delta. And that's where this bot is going to live, the 35 and the 10 delta. So we're selling the 35 delta put, and we're buying the 10 delta put. So to buy the 570 strike, we had to pay $1. So that nets out to a $2.50 credit, which is $250 in your account, which means from that $10 spread, which would normally be a $1,000 loss, we have to net out that $250, which we received. Our max loss on this trade is $750. Now, you might say to yourself, well, that doesn't sound too fair, right? I'm only going to win $250, but I could lose $750. Well, we have to look at the probability of how this trade might play out. And yeah, there we go. I was going to say our heads are in the way. Because of where we put our strike prices, if we're selling the 35 delta, we are, in estimate, giving ourselves a 65% chance of a full win. So a full win is going to happen more often than not. And then further, there's a 25% chance that we'll have a partial win, or in this case, we're going to get assigned those shares. And we'll talk about assignment in subsequent weeks here, but we'll call that our pin. So there's a 25% chance that we'll hit that pin. And then we've got a 10% chance that this max loss is actually going to happen. So 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to see that max loss, statistically speaking, right? But 1 out of 10 times, you will see that max loss. So when you do the math on these trades, we're not going to cover today, but you want to kind of figure out what your expected value of the trade is and make sure that's a positive number, not a negative number. So,
yeah, and Ben, really quickly on that, if you don't mind, just at a high level, again, really important to be doing this on stocks that you're comfortable owning, and you got to have the cash available to purchase these shares if you are assigned. So the concept is, if you do not own the shares, you're going to sell this put credit spread in hopes that it stays above X price, your sold put. If it does, fantastic. If you're in the middle, you'll buy them. And if not, max loss. Continue, sorry.
All good. So just to recap, there are 3 possible outcomes, right? There's that full win scenario, which will happen roughly 65% of the time, statistically speaking, where you'll get that $250 and basically just rinse and repeat the next week. And then there's that 25% chance that price will expire between your strikes, in which case you will get assigned 100 shares per contract at your sold put, so at the 580 strike. So as Dillon just mentioned, if you're selling the 580 strike and you have to buy 100 shares at $580, you're going to need $58,000 to make that purchase in your account. Now, that's why we have a variety of tickers available. My favorite is TQQQ, which is currently trading around $50. I forget where exactly. So at $50, you only need to have $5,000 in your account. So it's very small account friendly, and you still collect a nice premium each week.
It's not too different from what SPY pays, honestly.
Yeah. So
for the amount of cash needed.
Yeah, in the case of assignment, for sure. So if you do get assigned, what's going to happen is the next week you're going to sell a call, and we're also going to the bot's still going to buy a put, so you're protected from that downside. So we call that a combo spread. We'll get into combo spreads again in subsequent weeks here, but you could get assigned shares, so you'll own those shares going to the next week. You're still going to collect premium each week, unless price really drops, in which case, and if the put is more expensive than the call that we're going to sell, then you might end up with a net debit, but you're still paying for that downside risk while we're waiting for price to recover. Now, there's only, I think, 11 tickers available on the new vertical wheel, and they're all ETFs, pretty much all, a lot of them market-based. So the idea behind that is if we think the market's going to go up long-term, we're going to continue to sell the strike price that we got assigned at and net out even on shares, but we're going to collect premium the entire time. And then the full loss scenario.
Here's the list really quick.
There we go.
So people can see it.
Yep. There's that list. And then there's the full loss scenario, which we talked about. If price drops below 570 on the day of expiration and we close there, we're going to lose. The bot's going to reset on Monday. It's going to take the loss. We're going to take it on the chin, and then we're going to move on and keep trading. And then we've got our key formulas and then some key information at the bottom. Feel free to screenshot this slide. It's got some good information on it.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm letting people screenshot this if they like, but you can also just go back to the live show. Here's what I want to know. Because when I explain this to traders, I do always find myself having to just shout that, beware of SQQQ on here. Because I'll tell you, Ben, it kind of blends in. If you don't know what you're doing, you're looking at this and you're saying, oh, I can afford that. Because there's so many I can't afford, right? I think we need to highlight this whole thing in red or something, or put a notice that says that this is the inverse, or remove it until it's needed.
Yeah.
Because this scares me. Maybe we'll run a query to see if anybody's on it. And right now, actually, maybe it's not so bad.
Maybe this week.
But anyway, it was just a thought that I put it live on air and just see your thoughts on it.
Yeah, no. And the thought is, as you already know, I'm just saying this for everybody watching. The thought is SQQQ is an option to wheel when the market is moving downward, when we're in a bearish turn. SQQQ is the inverse ETF. So if TQQQ is going up, SQQ is going down, and vice versa. And the wheel is a bullish to neutral strategy. So we want prices to be going up, in which case SQQQ prices are typically not going up. And it's not really fair to look at the long-term charts because of all the splits and decay that happens in these 3x leverage ETFs, which is another reason why we play weeklies. But yeah, SQQQ was added with the mindset of, hey, this gives you an option for a wheel trade when the market is declining.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I love playing the TQs. We're really kind of I really am so comfortable with this stock until I see it under 46, and then maybe that tells me that things are changing. But this thing prints cash, it really does. And if I get assigned 100 shares, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. So fantastic.
I think I'm currently assigned shares at $54. So every week now I'm just wheeling the $54 strike. It pretty much nets out even right now, so I'm not really earning much.
Yeah.
And you could always make manual adjustments too, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't like the strike price that it's selling and you want to sell a little bit closer to the money and potentially take a loss on shares, feel free to update that. The bot's still going to pick up on where you left off next week. So it'll see your positions.
100%. Awesome. What else do you have on this?
That's it for this week. So we covered the foundation. Next week we'll cover the weekly cycle, Monday to Friday, theta decay curve, the 3 outcomes again, because we want to make sure that resonates and is remembered. Max profit and max loss, what do they actually look like, and how the bot handles each outcome automatically. Kind of like I just stated, like the bot will take a look at your positions at the beginning of the week and then make adjustments accordingly.
Do we own the shares? Do we not own the shares? Where are we at in the wheel? So it's called the wheel for very well named. You know, I pardon my language. I shit on traders for how they name their strategies a lot. Like Iron Condor is such a terrible name. Like there's no context. I don't care if it kind of looks like a bird.
What would you name an Iron Condor?
How about neutral strategy, range bet, something that gives me a clue as to what it is, not like Iron Condor. It's terrible, but I'll tell you, they nailed it with the wheel.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, K-Shep. Love that. That's all right. We're going to sell it at that price. We're going to collect a premium. It'll get sold. And we start right back at the top.
Yep.
Ben, let's talk about economic events. Unless we have something
economic
else.
Events. Yeah,
we can
that's
talk about
good.
results, but I mean, all of our results are kick-ass. And if you want to check them out,
Tune into Friday's show. Go back and watch Friday's show because that was a huge results recap with the end of February. Bots are killing it.
Hot.
Bots are absolutely crushing it. Shorbo, I think, is the shining light of February.
It is the hottest.
It's the hottest bot of February, right?
Oh, for sure.
Or King AI Turbo might be.
All right, we'll look, but I don't think.
Okay, let's compare real quick, and then we'll get to economic events and wrap this show.
All but one day it's traded. Okay, 3 L's, wow. 3 out of 4 green weeks. Okay, up nearly $1,800 per contract. What's the math on that, Ben? CPA, former CPA, on $500. On $500. Yeah, so let's do it. So here, I'll do it.
And that's all profit right there. So that's
and minus fees, of course.
Yeah, 350 per 50%.
354%. Yeah. So let's look at King AI Turbo for February.
Yeah, King AI Turbo is not beating that.
Doesn't take it. Look at that.
Whoa. From a dollar perspective,
$10. $10 is the difference. Wow. Glad we looked at that. Okay, so hey, either way, bots are crushing. Here's a King AI, by the way, 550. Ben bot February 336. We got all of our partners doing well. It's a good time to be a PeakBot automated trader. With that said, let's tell people what to look out for this week outside of bombs.
Yes, that was bombs with a B at the end, not a D. It's not bombs.
Yeah, correct. BOMB.
Okay, so today we don't have much in terms of economic events going on. Political events might be different. I'm going to pull up Financial Juice on another screen just to see. So it looks like today's February 2nd. It looks like at 1:30, Trump is doing something. So signing time. I don't know what he's signing.
Don't like it.
2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, Trump has a policy meeting. So we'll keep an eye on that. Looking ahead to Tuesday, now the bot will not trade. The 1DTs will not trade today going into tomorrow because VIX has increased too much uncertainty for an Iron Condor trade. So we don't have to worry too much about what's happening tomorrow. But looking ahead to tomorrow, not too much going on from an economic perspective. I don't see anything from a political perspective either. Now, Tuesday going into Wednesday, if VIX does not continue to drop, we do have services PMI happening on Wednesday, and not much after the bell. Actually, PMI is after the bell. Not much after 10 o'clock. Nothing to really shut the bots off for. And then we've got a lot happening on Thursday. On Thursday, we have non-farm productivity, which we won't shut off for. But we do have... I thought we had unemployment data. Maybe I was wrong.
I'm not sure.
On Thursday. All right, looks like we don't. But then on Friday, so Thursday going into Friday, we have non-farm payroll. And okay, now we got unemployment rate on Friday. So it was Friday. So the King Condor bot will be off. King AI will be off if it decides to be off. We don't make that decision anymore. And
Project
we never
manager.
really did. It was data that made that decision. But now
We
it's
oversee.
yeah, we oversee. So the King Condor strategy will be off Thursday going into Friday. Non-farm payrolls, statistically speaking, have crushed the King Condor strategy, so we don't want to trade during that. And TBD on King AI and King AI Turbo. But other than that, nothing else really of note for this week. Of course, we will keep our eyes and attention on what's happening over on the other side of the world, as that does have an impact on the market. But as of right now, all of this uncertainty, I am TBD on if I'm going to make any manual trades outside of the bots this week. But Dillon, why don't you go ahead and get us on out of here?
Just thinking about if Guinness is owned by a publicly traded company, because we got St. Patrick's Day coming up. Anyway, that's where my head's at. Let's get out of here. Thank you so much for joining. Fantastic show, lots to cover. Again, if you want to see how easy it is to use our automated bots and the results, go to our website or go to last Friday's show on our YouTube and or our Twitter account, X, whatever. We'll be live again. Hold on, going live tomorrow. Cut the music. We're going live tomorrow. All right. Alerts are dead. Automate instead. Live summit. Okay. It's a virtual webinar hosted by Tradier and PeakBot. Okay. So we're going to be going live 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be on our YouTube channel. I'm thinking, Ben, we got to make sure, but it'll be hosted. It'll be live. It'll be available for everybody to check out. If not, make sure you sign up here, peakbot.com/alerts are dead. Make sure you're putting the dashes in there. Take a screenshot right now if you need to. Ready? Click. Okay. I needed to plug that.
Yeah, good. I forgot about it. I'm excited for it, but I just happened to forget about it.
Very excited. We're bringing on 3 of our pro trading partners to talk about their approach to copy trading. All right. You don't need to be chasing alerts anymore. Fully automated strategies. 3 lead traders coming in talking about their approaches, their success, and their results. All right. So check them out tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Sign up, peakbot.com/alerts are dead. All right, let's get the music back on. All right, we will be live also this Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time for Automation Station, where we will take another deep dive into PeakBot's own automated results. Thanks so much for tuning in. Good luck today, and as always, stay peak.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.